Hello, beautiful souls, and thank you so much for joining in this week for this week's energies. And today I'd like to chat about the geomagnetic storm that we've just been experiencing over the past few days, the Ascension Cycles, and also blocks that are coming up for many people at this time. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Melisha. I am the founder of Divine Light Healing and the Summit of Love Sanctuary. I bring through 12 Lightcode activations, which are the Divine Feminine Christ Consciousness teachings. And these are there to help us remember our self-healing codes and to assist and guide you on your ascension process. Okay, so to start with, the geomagnetic storm. So as far as I know, this is the fourth high-level storm that we've had this year. It was a level 4, so a G4 level, which is the highest that we've had. And in layman's terms, for those of you who are new to what exactly this is, these are high-frequency light codes that come in through our sun. They are sent through from our galactic teams to help us with our ascension process, to help Gaia ascend, because the entire earth is also evolving and raising its consciousness and frequency at this time. So we receive these high frequency codes that are measured through the solar flares. They are measured with CMEs and the Schumann resonance. So these have been very high over the last few days, and you might have been wondering why you have had sudden headaches, sudden need to just sleep, fatigue, dizziness, nausea, headaches. All of these things come up as a result of these storms. So let's get into it. I'm going to bring through a message from the Galactic Federation of Light to gain more insights on this and what we can do to assist when these storms occur. Okay, so the high frequency light codes that come through from the geomagnetic storm are there to assist humanity to raise their frequency during the ascension cycle. We have decided to have these energies come in at a slower pace, where there is more time to integrate the energies in the physical body. The more you are able to integrate, the more higher frequency light codes can enter the body, and you can therefore hold and embody these light codes. Many people will have symptoms from these energies, as there is still much density to be released. The energies are there to help release the density. This will happen whether there is full awareness of what is happening or not. However, it is important to become conscious of the process, as this will allow you to expand and evolve at a greater speed. The more conscious awareness there is, the more you are able to drive your ascension and awakening process through the divine law of free will. Some of the symptoms that many are facing due to the geomagnetic storms are fatigue, with the need to lie down immediately. This is important, as you should do so when you feel the need, so that your body can receive the high frequency light codes. Disruptive sleep patterns, headaches, dizziness, nausea, the feeling as though your body is vibrating is also part of receiving these energies. These energies are cutting through much density on Earth, and you may be exposed to the collective energies as a result. Remember that you have the ability to transmute all dense emotions into unconditional love. Okay, so what I can gather from this message is that, firstly, I have been getting guidance for a while now, and we've been receiving these geomagnetic storms from the beginning of the year, that there was a choice, right, within the councils of having the ascension process come through with a flash, which many people or many have predicted that would happen. There would be a major flash, and basically high frequency light code will come in, and it will be so high that many people will awaken as a result. Of course, there are many downsides to that, and so what the decision was made was that to have these light codes come in at a slower pace and more frequently, and rather than just having it come in once. So it will come in at a slower pace so that we are able to embody it and integrate it better. And as a result, more people are able to benefit from that, okay? Because as we know, those of you who are going through the ascension process, it is not an easy process to go through. There is so much of density here that needs to be released, and so this is what everyone is working to do, so in a much more graceful, peaceful, calmer way. Okay, so these light codes are going to come in at a slower pace, and they will come in more frequently, and also it will increase over time as more and more people are able to hold the higher vibrational light codes within their bodies. The more density is released as a result of this, the more that we can hold the frequency. Okay, so yes, there are ascension symptoms that will come through as a result, and so this is the reason why it's important to keep track of, when these storms occur, so that we can better prepare ourselves for what's to come. And if you know you're going through ascension symptoms, then you can also prepare yourself. You can make the time to rest, because that is really important. So the way that we are going to receive these light codes is if we are going to be resting. So if you are just going to lie down, for example, like in Shavasana, you're really going to need about 30 minutes or so that you can download these light codes and have it integrate within your body, because you are going to be receiving them in theta state most likely, and you'll receive these upgrades on your body. Whatever your body needs at the time will come through for you to receive and release, and then it's probably going to be over in about 30 to 45 minutes maximum, and then you can go about your day again. And also, if you're experiencing any other symptoms, then you can also prepare for that, because now you know why they're coming and what you can do to help and assist the process. So the part about the collective consciousness, we might be feeling the energies of the collective consciousness as a result. So because this is happening on a collective level, and there's so much of density on earth with many people, as we are all releasing the density, the low vibrational emotions and energies, then as light workers and empaths, you're going to feel that on a collective level. And depending where you are in the world, if you're in a densely populated area, dense city like I am, then you're going to feel it that much more. And so we have to remember to discern what is ours and what is not at this time, and know that what you are feeling, you have the ability and the responsibility to transmute that into unconditional love. So this is what we are able to do as light workers, because we really don't want that dense energy to just be sitting in the atmosphere. So we are able to transmute it. Okay, so let's move on into the Ascension Cycles. So if you haven't read my blog post that I posted yesterday, please do so, as I go into more detail about the Ascension Cycles. And so today I just want to briefly go through some key points about the Ascension Cycles and what that means for us at this time specifically. Okay, so we can categorize the ascension process into 4 parts, and we can call these the pillars. These are the foundations, the key components of strength and stability that hold the ascension process up as the guiding light. We can look at the ascension process over a 4-year period, with each pillar overlighting each year. The 4 pillars are the awakening cycle, the exploration cycle, the integration cycle, and the ending cycle. All of these can be further broken up within the year into phases of the season, so each cycle representing a season, and then even further into each month. So we can look at spring as the awakening cycle, summer as the exploration cycle, autumn as the integration cycle, and winter as the ending cycle. These sub-phases of the season are important to note as we go through our ascension process so that we can become aware of which cycle we are in. So last week I spoke about spring and that being, a birthing, a new beginning cycle, but it really depends on where you are or what your heritage is. And so even if your heritage is from the north and you're living in the south, you're most likely going to resonate with spring being in March. Okay, so just bear that in mind as I go through this explanation of the cycles. So as I said, the cycles then can be further broken down into each month, and it's easier for us women to really tap into that cycle because it is in sync with our menstruation cycle. However, if you are not experiencing menstruation and if you're male, these cycles will happen naturally because these are the natural life cycles. We all go through them regardless whether we are aware of it or not. And so why is it important for us to know which cycle we are in? It is important because we need to be able to be aligned with the cycles and not fight against them. Because when we fight against them, this is when we are going to be experiencing physical illness, mental illness such as depression. Because when we know that we are in a cycle, then we know that phase has an ending. That phase is going to pass and a new cycle is going to begin. Okay, so for many of you who have had your awakening, as an example, in 2020, okay, many souls have had their awakening in December of 2020, and so you can look at 2021 as the beginning of your first awakening cycle. So 2021 will be year one of your awakening cycle. 2022 will then be your exploration cycle. 2023 will be your integration cycle. And 2024 is an ending cycle. Okay, so it depends on which part of 2020 did you awaken. Was it the beginning or was it the end? So if it was the beginning, then 2020 will be your year one. Okay, so know that after 4 years, the cycle starts again. Okay, so it's going to be completely different for everybody. So I can't generalize and say 2022, this is what's going to happen. 2023, this is what's going to happen. So it's going to be completely different for each person, and this is why we need to be able to tap into our own journey and see what cycle we are in. So let's look at our lives and use an ordinary example from our everyday life and see how these cycles fit into our lives. Okay, so let's look at baking a cake. For those of you who know me, you'll know that I'm a baker, and so I'm going to use baking a cake as an example here. So hypothetically, let's say that you've never baked a cake before. You don't know how to bake. You don't know much about baking or cooking. It's never been your thing, but you'd like to give it a try. You'd like to try something new, and you just want to be creative and you want to give this a shot. Okay, so you decide that this is what you want to do, and because it's spring, you want to bake a cake that is inspired by spring, and you maybe want to use fresh flowers on the cake, and you want to use nice fruity flavors, and you want to have the cake brightly colored. We can say that is an awakening cycle. Okay, it is full of creativity, it is full of excitement, it is something completely new and different that you want to try out and you want to explore. Okay, so that would be the awakening cycle, that initial thought idea. Okay, then you now have to do a lot of research on how to bake because you've never baked before. Okay, depending on your goal, when do you want to bake this cake, who's it going to be for, and let's say, for example, you want to bake this cake for a friend's birthday. That's in a few weeks' time. So the next phase is going to be that exploration phase. You're going to be doing a lot of research, okay? You're going to be looking at how you're going to bake the cake. You're going to be looking at recipes. You might need to go and shop for ingredients. You might decide that you actually want to try out different cakes beforehand, before making your ultimate birthday cake. So you go out, you buy a whole lot of ingredients, and you experiment, and you bake maybe, a few cakes that are different flavors, and you just like bursting with all of this creativity and inspiration, and everything is manifesting amazingly. And so this is now your new thing, and you are baking all of these amazing cakes. Okay, then from there you eventually bake the cake that you want for your friend's birthday, and you go over and have the party, and everybody enjoys the cake. And then the next day you come home and you think back on your experience. So this can now be looked at as the integration cycle. So in the third cycle, so when you come back from the party and you're thinking about your whole experience of from start to right up until the party where everybody's enjoyed the cake, you're thinking about all the things that you've learned. This was a new skill that you've learned. You thinking about what worked, what didn't work, what you could have done better. You're thinking about everybody who enjoyed the cake and the feedback that you received from it. So all of these things are coming into your awareness to process. And so this is now becoming part of the integration cycle, because your whole body is processing this. You learned a new skill, so it's going into your remembrance. And let's look at a basic skill from baking a cake. Let's say you've never cooked before, you've never baked before. The most basic thing will be you've beaten the eggs for the first time in your life. That's something, beating those eggs is something that you're not really going to relearn again. It's not something that you'll need to practice over and over again. It's going to be just becoming a memory for you, like a muscle memory, let's say, that you're going to know how to do the second time around, right? So that is called the integration process of learning a new skill, and you immediately the next time around you'll know how to do it. But it's the whole process from start to finish, right? And then let's say a few weeks have passed and you're finally thinking about baking a cake again. So a few weeks within the month, let's say, from starting of thinking about the cake to now the whole process is finished and you're thinking about baking a cake again. And then suddenly all of these thought patterns come up, these self-limiting beliefs come up, these self-limiting, self-sabotaging behaviors come up. You start questioning yourself. You're like, am I actually a good baker? Did people actually enjoy the cake? There's so many things that went wrong actually, and I needed to fix. I was X, Y, and Z. There's so many things that you start thinking about. This is really the ending cycle. So the ending cycle, you have a lot of doubt, fears, self-limiting beliefs coming up. It's all of those patterns and belief systems that are sitting with you, that have been sitting with you in your body for many, many years, lifetimes, that will come up when you least expect it, especially when you're embarking on something new. And so this is the time for you to transmute those low vibrational energies, the self-limiting beliefs, and transcend them, so that you may come back into yourself, into oneness consciousness, into your divinity, into an empowered version of yourself, so that when the next cycle starts of awakening again, you are now a more empowered version to start the next creative cycle. Okay. So if we had to look at these same cycles in relation to our ascension journey, as I've mentioned, that each month we are going through this process. And so within the ascension journey, each month there is an initiation. So each month there are these 4 cycles, and these 4 cycles are part of an initiation. So we can look at spring, whether that's in September in the south or March in the north. We can look at spring as being an awakening cycle, and most likely you will be going through a third eye opening. So we can look at this as a third eye opening initiation. Okay, so we can say, okay, the awakening cycle, you've had a third eye opening, and you're now suddenly experiencing visions, telepathy, all the symptoms that come with the third eye opening. But at the same time, it's exciting, it's new, it's, you're inspired, you're just in this, birth and new phase. Okay. Then what will follow is an exploration phase. So you would want to explore this. What is it? You would want to do research on exactly what a third eye opening is. You may want to go for healing sessions to assist you with the process. You may want to go for a sound bath, a chakra balance. All of these things are part of the exploration cycle for you to better understand this whole process that you're going through, this new phase in your life, and you're looking at all the options here. Then you will need to go through an integration cycle. Okay, so all of the healing that you've now received, the upgrades that you've now received, needs to be integrated within the body so that you can hold that frequency, and so it becomes cellular memory within your body. Okay, so the integration process is probably the most important process that we sometimes miss or want to skip, and I'll go into that in more detail as I discuss the blocks that we go through during our process. But the integration process is so important, because remember that whatever happens in the quantum field happens at a much quicker pace, and so the integration process is almost like the body is trying to catch up with what's happened. And so we have to allow the body to rest in order for the healing that we've received to fully integrate into the body. So thereafter, we're going to go through the ending cycle, and this is probably the cycle that we dread the most, because this is really the ego deaths, the dark nights of the soul, all of these self-limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging patterns, and all of the looping thought patterns are going to come up at this stage, because this is the time to transmute and transform all of these programs into your true essence. Okay, so know that the ending and the death cycle is part of the process, and this is where I say it's key to know which cycle you're in, because knowing that it's just a cycle and it's just a phase will help you to move on from that phase much quicker, although it needs to be embraced first. So I hope that explains the cycles for you more clearly. And also to note, one important point to note is that I've explained these cycles in a linear time, and as we know, we are moving more and more into quantum time, which means that time is intermingling with each other and it's not so linear. What does that mean in our reality is that we are experiencing multiple dimensions in one time. We are experiencing multiple timelines in one time, so that we can decipher and see which timeline we can actually choose, because remember, it is our free will choice. And so we may be experiencing these cycles simultaneously, not completely set to a month or a season, and so it may blur out into each other, if I can say that. So this is why it's important for us to tap in and see where we are at, so that we can assist ourselves better. Okay, so let's chat about the blocks that come up during our ascension process. There are three main reasons that we could be experiencing blocks, and then there's a fourth reason which I will chat about very briefly. Okay, so the first reason is that you could very well be in an integration phase or an ending phase. And the blocks that you are seeing when you're in this phase could look like a block, but actually it's just part of the integration and ending cycle. So what does that mean? In the integration and ending cycle, not much is going to happen. And so we see that as a block. And we see that as a block, and it feels uncomfortable because we are not comfortable with not doing anything. Our body has been conditioned to do continuously, to fix, to problem solve. And so when we get into a phase of integration and ending where things are very still, then it can be considered a block. So bear that in mind the next time you're experiencing a block. The second reason why we could be experiencing blocks are that we are being divinely guided to a better opportunity, a better place, or better experience. And you may be guided back into alignment of your highest 5D timeline. The third reason would be for protection, and you receive a block, a stop in your path, because you are being guided away from an unsafe situation, and so the block is redirecting you back into safety. And so this goes a little bit into my fourth phase, where there are definitely ways and techniques and things that are being done to light workers to intentionally stop us from doing our work. Okay, so what do we do when we come to a block? For the most part, our natural response, as I said, is to do everything possible to unblock whatever it is that is stopping us. We want to go into problem-solving mode, and this is because of our conditioning of being in a stress response of flight and fight. We always have to do more. So the first thing we do is to stop doing and start being. This is easier said than done, but once you develop a strong relationship with your higher self, then this becomes easier, as it is your higher self that will be guiding you to be. Your higher self will guide you on what she needs next. Remember, the ascension process is one where we are slowing down once again. As we detach from the false matrix, i.e. the rat race, the doctrinated systems, we begin to slow down, and this means regulating the nervous system. When we regulate the nervous system and no longer are in a stress response, then we can start to be rather than do. In this state, we immediately come into presence in the now moment, and it is in this moment that we are able to connect with our higher selves, with our oversouls, with our guides, and receive the answers that are needed. And then this is going to bring you within. So always go within when there is a block. You can do this via meditation. You can go for a grounding walk, being in nature, being in the sun or in water, doing art. This is going to help you to go within and connect. And this is the initiation, right? The initiation is to build a stronger connection with your higher self for guidance. And this is going to help you to move forward in the right direction. So I hope that helped you navigate this week, and I will be back next week for next week's energies of the week. Until then, sending you lots of love.